Hey guys, welcome back. It's your friend Sam, and today we're going to be going through all the different fitness studios that I went to in the month of September. So if you've been following me on Instagram, you probably already know that I posted a reel recently on all the different studios that I went to, and in this video we're going to be going into a little bit more detail just so you guys know or have any questions about the different studios that I went to. I have the list right here, so let's get started. And before we continue, this video is not sponsored. I just happened to use ClassPass for the month of September. So if anyone is also looking into ClassPass as a fitness option or a subscription option, they are pretty great. I really like the variety that they have on there, because it not only does it include fitness studios, it also allows you to go to different nail salons, hairstylists. There's a bunch of other stuff, and although in the free trial I didn't get to experience any of those, it was really interesting to see that that was an option. So let's dive right in. The first fitness studio that I went to in September was Club Pilates in Cerritos. So this is actually not a new studio for me. I've been there before. This is the studio that got me into Pilates in the first place because it's a new location and it's down the street from my house. So needless to say, I like the studio. I like that it's located in a plaza, so there's a lot of parking. Another thing that I really like about Club Pilates is that the class sizes are really small. So there's only about 12 reformers in the studio at a time. So in each class, there's only going to be about 12 people. This allows the instructor to go around and make sure that everyone's form is correct and no one really pulls a muscle that they're not supposed to pull. Also, I really like how the majority of fitness studios, if they're teaching a group class, the instructor, if they have the time, they will come up to you and ask you if you have any prior injuries, to make sure that if you do, they can alter the workout for you so you don't hurt yourself anymore. There's one studio that I really liked that I will talk about later on in the class. So if you're planning on going to Club Pilates, just know that if you don't have ClassPass, each class is going to be $39 each, or you can sign up for their membership. I don't remember the details on their memberships, but it costs a couple hundred for like 4 to 12 classes. You should contact your local Club Pilates studio if you want more information on that. Next up, I went to Drip Cycle. So Drip Cycle is a cycling class and it's located in Old Town Whittier. So there's a bunch of little shops nearby that you can explore as well, either before or after your workout. What I really liked about it is that even though it was my first class, I didn't feel worried about how anyone would perceive me, because if you've ever been to a cycling class, it's in the dark. It's like a rave, but you're working out. So the music is blasting, the lights are dim, there's LED lights flashing, and the instructor is literally yelling at you. Not individually, but like yelling at the whole class, and like to get everyone amped up, they yell at you, you yell back at them. It's like an interchanging of energies, if that makes sense. So with Drip Cycle, if you don't have your own shoes already, for your first class, they let you rent out their cycling shoes for free, but if not, you can rent it out for $3 per class. Honestly, I would probably go again. I don't know how much the individual classes are, but I will definitely look into that. Next up, we have Body and Brain, and this is another 180 for me because this studio focuses on Tai Chi, yoga, meditation. And when you hear these words, or when I first heard these words, I was like, okay, there's gonna be more elderly people in this classroom. And I was right. So when I showed up, I went for their detox and core strengthening class. And when I showed up, surprisingly, the class had already started. So what I didn't know is that when you book a class at Body and Brain, you're actually supposed to arrive 15 minutes before the actual start of class because they take that 15 minutes to warm up. I learned this from one of the other girls that showed up a little later into the class, and together we did a lot of low intensity but high reps. So it consisted of a lot of like padding, a lot of stretching. It was a really good change of pace. It kind of felt like a mix of yoga and tai chi, and then plus like very non-traditional gym workouts, if that makes sense. So like the core exercises consisted of focusing on your breathing. So like you would breathe in, actively like breathe in and breathe out using your diaphragm, and that would be the core exercise, and you would do that for like 100 reps. Honestly, don't know if I would go again, but it was an interesting experience. And that one is actually located next to the Club Pilates that I went to as well, so there's a lot of parking there too. Next up, we have neaumix Fit Pilates Studio. This one is located in Fullerton, and I took their bar and reformer Pilates class. This was actually my favorite studio to go to throughout the whole month. It was like super clean, and I think it was new because they were doing this like promotion where you can pay $99 for your first month and then get unlimited Pilates classes for the entire month. And if you know Pilates, you know that is a steal, because honestly with $99 you could probably only get like 2 Pilates classes, maybe 3 depending on the studio. But I really enjoyed this class. Bar in itself I've never tried before, and it's very similar to what ballet is like. I took ballet in kindergarten and I remember very little of it, but from like the exercises that we had to do, they were very calf focused, very leg focused, and basically for someone who doesn't work out calves a lot, it literally killed my legs. Take that into consideration when you are trying bar. But if you do, I highly recommend going to neaumix Fit. Next up, we have Boheme Yoga. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but here, this yoga studio is located in Los Angeles, the heart of downtown LA, and I took their flow class in a hot yoga setting. This is my first hot yoga class, and it was a lot better than I thought. So when I first thought of hot yoga, I thought it was gonna be suffocating because it's so hot. But it was like a nice sweat. Kind of like when you walk into a sauna but you stay in there for the whole 50 minutes. I took this with another friend of mine, and she had been to hot yoga before, and she said this one was a lot better than the other one she went to, because the instructor took the time to explain and go slow. So for someone who's directionally challenged, like hand-eye coordination wise, I thought it was really fun. I did have a bit of trouble understanding some of the poses just because I'm not a avid yogi, but if you look over at the people next to you, you'll figure it out eventually, right? Anyway, this place, I don't know if I'd go again just because of where it's located, because it is in LA, but also you have to pay for parking. So like the parking structure that they recommend is across the street, and I believe that one you have to pay about $10 for, and then if you miss it, there's another parking lot on the corner, and that one's like $15. And honestly, if you're going for a workout class, $15 for a 50-minute session is outrageous. So honestly, if I'm going again, I'm gonna get dropped off. But most likely will not go again just because of the location. Next up, we have the bar method. So after my little taste of bar at neaumix Fit, I was like, let's try another bar class. This one is located in Long Beach over by PCH and 2nd, and honestly, I didn't like this one. So this one, for some reason, the studio has the floors carpeted, and honestly, when I think of carpet, I think it's dirty, and plus people are sweating, so the sweat is like absorbed in the carpet, and I didn't like that. Like the outside area, there's hardwood floors and that's fine. But like the workout setting, I don't think it should be carpeted. Maybe it's just a personal preference, but that's the first studio that I've ever seen that had carpet in their workout area. So definitely will not go again. They are really nice though, but it was really hard to find the studio in the first place because it's like located in this like building, and each side of the building has an opening for different businesses within the building. So I literally tried all 4 sides before I found the right one. Definitely would not go again. Next up, we have Honor the Body Pilates. I took a Ritual Reformer Pilates class here. This one is located in La Habra, California. I will say that the studio was also pretty hard to find. It was kind of like in those business complexes. And what really like not irked me, but what got me a little confused was that on ClassPass, it said that it was called Honor the Body Pilates, but then when you show up in this area even, there's no directory. All the buildings look the same. And then plus, the studio isn't even called Honor the Body Pilates. It's called Aspire Wellness Studio. So if you are looking for it, it's going to be right along the street side. There's parking inside because it is a plaza, but there's not a lot. Maybe because I went on a business day. But I think if you go on a weekend, it'll be a little easier to find parking because nobody's at work. I did like the class though. It was really small. There was about 6 to 7 people, including me and my friend. And the instructor made sure that everyone was doing the poses correctly. And then if we didn't get it, she would come and like stand beside us and make sure that we were doing it correctly. Just so we would be able to feel the burn, you know? Because in a workout class, if you're not doing the motion, you're only blaming you're not really benefiting yourself for being there, if that makes sense. This one is iffy, so I'd probably maybe just go again. Not sure though. Next up, I took a F45 class. This one was actually inspired by one of the content creators that I like to watch. Her name is Chris Hui. She went to an F45 studio all the way out in Korea just because she wanted to try it. But they do have some here in California. So just to try it, I went to their burner class, and F45 is basically a circuit class where there's 9 different stations and you do 3 sets at each station before you move on. And it's for time only, but the time changes. So for my class at least, it started off with 60 seconds on, 15 seconds off. Then it was 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off. And then I think the last one was 15 seconds on and 15 seconds off, but I could be wrong because I felt like it was really long. The last set was always ridiculously long for some reason. I actually really like this studio because there was a parking structure right next door. And it was free, and that's very rare in LA, especially downtown LA. So I do recommend going to the F45 studio on, I think it was Grand Avenue. That one has its own parking structure, and it's down the street from Orange Theory and I believe Core Power as well. So there's a few workout studios in that area if you do want to try it out. There's only 2 more studios, and for one of them it was called Back to Basics Training, and this one is out in Whittier. I actually really like this studio. I took their booty camp class, and the studio itself is run by a family. It's a family business, or I think it is, where the husband does personal training and then the wife does group training. Or maybe they switch off. I don't know. But for my class, it was like that. The wife, I forgot her name. I really... I feel bad, but I did forget her name. But she was so welcoming, and then since it was my first time, they asked me questions, and they also were asking if I had any prior back like injuries, and at the time for some reason my lower back was feeling a little like tight, a little weak, so I told them. And then during the workout, she was so kind and she told me different modifications so that I wouldn't pull out my back again or pull it even more. And then throughout the class she would also check up on me to make sure that my back wasn't hurting during the exercises. But what stood out to me about this studio is the fact that they're so family oriented. It almost felt like there was an actual community going on. So like if you've ever been to like commercial gyms like Gold's or Crunch, it's just people come in, people come out. And like the people at the front desk, if you go often enough, they'll know you. But if you don't, they don't know you. But here at this studio, at Back to Basics Training, they knew all the people coming in and leaving. Wow, it feels like we're in a community setting where people see each other on a regular basis and take the time to make conversation. So I personally would love to go there. I just don't know how much the membership is, so that will be on the back burner. And finally, for our last workout studio of September, I went to a Soul Studios class. So Soul Studio is based in Costa Mesa near Newport Beach area, and this one was honestly a great class. I did their mat Pilates class. The only thing that I wish they clarified a little bit more on ClassPass is that for Soul Studio there is a studio that they own, and then they do classes at Lido House, which is, I believe, a hotel on Newport Boulevard. I didn't know that. All it said was Lido Studio, or Soul Studio Lido House. And there was no disclaimer or question in the FAQs section of ClassPass saying that oh, for the classes that are titled Soul Studio Lido House, you actually have to go to Lido House to take the class. So I guess I wish they clarified that a little bit more. But also, if you do take the class at Lido House, you either have to find street parking or valet your car for $5. Because even though there's a plaza right across the street, right across the way from Lido House, that's solely for that plaza. So if you're not visiting any of those businesses, they will tow your car. There's a sign. So be careful with parking over there. I would suggest going to the Soul Studio location because when I went there, it was just street parking. It was straightforward. Honestly, I think I would go again. But if you do go, just be warned that the Lido House classes are outdoors. So be cautious of the weather. Alright. And that's it for all the studios that I went to in the month of September. If you like this type of video, let me know. I will try to go to some more. And then for those of you who are considering ClassPass, just know that you get a free month trial before you actually start paying. And in that free month trial, you can actually only go to studios once, which is why all the studios that I went to are different this month of September. But I think it's a great way to just go out there and discover new workout styles or fitness techniques or whatever. I was gonna do some boxing classes too, but just couldn't find the right one that I wanted to go to. They also have dance classes that you can learn from. I went to another one now that I think about it, but I didn't put it down. It was a hip-hop fundamentals and choreography class out in West Hollywood. I don't remember what the studio was called. I'll probably put it in the captions below or something, or put it in this area right here. But that one was also pretty fun to go to. Just be careful if you do park in the parking garage because I didn't know the gate closes. It wasn't until someone came out of that parking garage that I was able to get into my car. But if you do go to that class, I'll put all the info for it underneath. But if you do go to that class, find street parking first. It's pretty easy. It's in a neighborhood area. But yeah, that's it for today's video. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!